Today we're going to talk about something at once intuitive and mysterious, frame rate, on this episode of the Light Journal. First, we need to clarify something about movies and how humans perceive motion. When we watch a live show, the performers' movements are continuous. They don't physically disappear and reappear while you're watching them. But that's exactly what happens in a movie. A film is made up of a series of static images that are projected in rapid succession. At a certain speed, we no longer see individual frames. They blend together as a continuous experience. How does this happen? First, when our eyes see something, an electrochemical response in our retinas sends signals to our brain where the image is interpreted. The optic nerve refreshes this signal about 10 times every second. If an image is flashed at twice that rate, we don't notice the flicker of change in between. This is called persistence of vision. So, we don't notice them appearing and disappearing. But why do objects on the screen seem to move when they're actually distinct images? Next, a part of our brain connects the separate images into what we perceive as a continuous flow. This is called beta movement. Early filmmakers discovered that at around 16 frames per second, our eyes would not see the flicker of the images or motion, but rather a continuous movie. Early movies were shot and projected at around 16 to 18 frames per second, though there was a lot of variation since early movie cameras were hand-cranked. Today, movies in the US are generally shot at 24 frames per second, and video for television is typically shot at 30 frames per second. A couple of caveats here. For one, I'm ignoring interlacing, mostly because I think it's archaic and I really hope it goes away soon. Also, all of these technical descriptions are in flux. There are TVs today that refresh at 120 frames per second, interpolating the images between frames. Movies are being shot at 48 frames per second to add more realistic movement and prevent strobing. And digital cinema projectors have begun to offer more options in both resolution and frame rate. For now, we'll stick to the basics, but stay tuned, things change fast. Since filmmakers can control the rate at which images are captured, the visual effect of fast or slow motion is possible. One way to imagine fast motion is how much time is represented in each second of the final movie. Normally in film, 24 frames are captured each second, and 24 frames are shown each second. But what would happen if we only shot 1 frame every second? Well, then it takes 24 seconds to fill up our 1-second movie. When played back, the movie would be 24 times faster than real life. It's done using an intervalometer that automatically takes 1 photo in a set interval, every few seconds or minutes depending on the subject. Capture the images even less frequently, minutes go by between each frame, and you enter the realm of what's called time-lapse photography, where hours go by in mere seconds. Slow motion works the other way. In this 1-second action, we filled up 60 frames. That's 2.5 seconds worth of playback. And here we can see the motion is slowed. Taking that to an extreme, special cameras like Vision Research's Phantom Flex can record 1,000 frames or more per second. The motion you see here is 40 times slower than normal speed. One last note about frame rate. Some people prefer the look of 24 frames per second, even when shooting video, because each frame is a little bit blurred when there's motion, and that renders a soft, slightly smeared image. Shooting at 30 frames per second, or even 60 frames per second, gives a crisper image since each frame is captured with a shorter exposure. That can be exaggerated even more with a faster shutter speed to make the action look sharp and a little flickery. So as you can see, there's a lot of options when we talk about frame rate. I hope this has been a useful introduction. I'm Sandy Chase. See you next time on the Light Journal.